I want to talk about the CDC guidance one more time because people are confused. Major media outlets are confused. And I understand it was an abrupt change. And also, I feel like when I've been explaining it to people, they kind of gloss over, look a little uncomfortable. And part of that might be I get so animated. I'm really excited about this. And so I want to just not get excited, but just sort of explain what was going on before with the previous guidance and what's going on now. And I'm going to talk about things like masks and distancing and vaccines and everything that the only thing that matters here now for this thought process is how the CDC views those things. Okay. That's what I'll be talking about. It's not necessarily my opinion of masks. It may not be your opinion of masks, but that doesn't matter. Okay? If we want to understand what the CDC is saying, you can choose to believe it or not later, but let's at least understand what they are saying, and then you can conduct yourself accordingly. So, the virus. The virus was estimated to be have an R naught of 3. And what that means is for every person on average who gets infected, they will infect 3 more. And then those 3 people will infect 3 more. So the rate of infections rises exponentially and we get that curve. Now, in reality, it doesn't work that way. Some people won't spread to anyone. Some people will spread to a lot more than 3, and you'll see pockets and things like that. But so we had this virus that can spread very quickly. And so they put out the masks and the distancing and limiting gatherings and, keeping people separate and, the mask. And what that was if you think about this in terms of a system, so if each person who is infected is a source, and then you have other people around them, okay, they could potentially transfer the virus to the people around them. Okay. The mitigation, whether it's a mask or the distancing or limiting the gatherings or thing, puts sort of a wall of resistance in between. That's the idea. So it's to resist, to make it harder for the virus to get from here to here by keeping the people apart, by putting a mask in between them. So that was the idea. That's what we were doing because we didn't have any sort of a vaccine or anything like that. Now, so then we had a vaccine. The vaccine went through an emergency use authorization. So they did some testing, and the FDA approved it for use under emergency conditions. And so they did some form of safety testing, but the testing that they did for efficacy was they verified that the people who received the virus didn't get sick. And the results were that 94% of the people didn't get sick. 6% did. So it was 94% effective. They also, so when they say, even though you're vaccinated, you still can get sick. Well, 94% of you can't. They didn't tell you this, but this is what, so technically it was true, but 6% can still get sick, 94% cannot. Then the part about you can still spread it. The truth of that answer? Maybe. They never tested it. So the vaccine companies and the FDA approved it without testing to see if it prevented asymptomatic spread of the virus. There was no data, there was no testing, there was nothing to suggest that vaccinated people could spread the virus. But there was no testing to prove that they couldn't. So the CDC, whose job is to control diseases, to stop the spread of this disease, job 1, they obviously err on their most conservative and the most aggressive forms of mitigation that they can. So they went out with the message, you can still spread it. And what they really were saying, if you listen closely and you read the reports, what they were really saying is, we don't know. There's a chance, because we didn't verify it that this vaccinated people could still spread. But people took that as every person who's been vaccinated can possibly get sick. Not true. And can possibly and can spread the virus. Well, and the chances are maybe, they don't know. But here's now, I followed this. I didn't see one single report, one single study that showed vaccinated people spreading the virus. None. I didn't see any. Maybe they were out there. I didn't see it. All of the studies they did, and these go back several months, were suggesting that they couldn't. Okay, now if you go back 2 months ago, 3 months ago, the vaccine was relatively new. The number of people who were vaccinated, the CDC wasn't going to loosen the guidance because there weren't enough people vaccinated. Right now we have over half the adult population are either fully vaccinated or they've had the virus, so they have natural antibodies. So in that situation, and recently, if you look at the CDC page where they talk about this new guidance, they cite 2 recent studies, rather large, that come out to say no, vaccinated people are not spreading the virus. So the CDC has concluded that vaccinated people cannot spread the virus. There are always exceptions, so, small percentage maybe, but that's what they're saying. That's why they went so abruptly to this new guidance that says if you have the vaccine, no mask, and we're not even going to track who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated. That's a very aggressive move. And for the CDC to make that move, that's a strong vote of confidence for the vaccine's safety, efficacy, to prevent people from getting sick and to prevent people from spreading it. That's a fact. That's what this means right now. People with the vaccine cannot spread it, and people with the vaccine cannot get sick, at least the vast majority of them. So there are exceptions to the guidance. Healthcare, they mask infectious disease, fine, they're sick people. But the main one to think about are mass transit, buses, planes, trains. So out in the general population, bars, restaurants, they know that unvaccinated people are going to go there without a mask and potentially get sick. But over half the adult population is now protected. So the potential for the virus to spread is greatly depleted. We have resistance now. Okay, before 1 to 3, now there's half of the people out there can't catch it, can't spread it. So the R0 of the virus has at least been cut in half by doing that. Now in pockets, okay, if you have a whole bunch of people that aren't vaccinated, it can spread. But they're probably counting on, the number of our healthcare system being able to handle it. But mainly what they've said is the risk to the population as a whole, now with the vaccines that we have, is low, and what we really want to do is motivate people to get vaccinated. So that's why they've done what they've done. They've said the risk out there is low, take off the masks, get yourself vaccinated. Okay? So it's not confusing. What it's saying is the vaccines work. They stop people from getting sick, and this, from the perspective of the CDC, people that with the vaccine don't spread it, and we have the healthcare capacity to handle the people that aren't vaccinated, and we believe that we're going to use this to motivate more people to get vaccinated, because we went from 3.3 million vaccinations per day, shots per day, down to below 1.8. So demand has dropped considerably. And what the CDC knows is what they need to do in order to get more people to vaccinate is to show confidence in the vaccine and to give people a motivation, a reason to do that. So now, if you are vaccinated and you're worried about being in that 6%, you say you have high risk or whatever, it concerns you, wear a mask. You can do that. They didn't say you're not allowed to wear a mask. You can distance. If you know that people are going to be out without masks in these certain places, don't go there. There's going to be places where they do. So you're free to take all the precautions that you want in order to keep yourself from getting infected. You can get an antibody test. There are antibody tests that will detect antibodies from vaccines. So you could do that as well. Now, you'll pay for that. Those aren't free. But, I mean, that's where we are. So if you are vaccinated, do not feel guilty whatsoever for going without a mask anywhere. You are not a danger to anyone, and you are not at risk. 94% certainty. So that's where we are. Don't feel bad about it. Just if you want to wear it, wear it. If you don't want to wear it, don't wear it. But think about it this way: you're actually helping the cause. If you're a community-minded person, then by you going around without your mask, you're showing people, hey, I believe, I am vaccinated, I believe in this vaccine, the CDC believes in this vaccine, and if you want to feel the way I feel and freely go around without a mask, then maybe you should consider the vaccine too. Well, I hope this helps. I hope this helps clear up some of the confusion, and talk to you soon.